Okay, picture this. It's 2:28 a.m.
Not 2.3.
No, not 2:30, not midnight. 2:28 a.m. The house is completely silent. You've checked the time on your phone, and that blue light is just searing your eyes, and you just let out that little whispered curse, "Damn it, not again."
It's a scene that I think almost everyone listening has lived through. The exact time might be different, but that feeling is universal.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And think about the context here. It's not like you were out partying. You ate your dinner on time. You forced your eyes open to read exactly 10 pages of some dense book on economics or stoicism because it was on the schedule.
You ticked off every single box on the to-do list.
Every single one. So on paper, you've earned your leisure time. You did everything right. But there you are, doom scrolling, feeling tired but completely wired, and you have this gnawing guilt. Why?
Because you've done the work, but you don't feel any of the reward. You just feel stuck in a loop. You are performing the actions of a successful person. You're miming the motions, but deep down, you feel like a complete fraud.
Exhausted but not fulfilled.
Exactly.
That feeling right there, that disconnect between the doing and the feeling, is what we're kicking off with in today's deep dive. We're looking at a really compelling piece from Motivation Arc that suggests the very way we try to improve ourselves. The checklists, the hacks, all those 5 ways to be a billionaire articles.
They might be the very thing making us miserable.
It's the paradox of self-improvement.
Yeah.
We are obsessed with getting better, but the standard advice so often leaves us feeling worse.
It creates this tension, you know? We treat ourselves like machines that just need a software update. We think if we just install Productivity 2.0, all the bugs will magically disappear. But we aren't machines. Well, we're human beings with fluctuating energy and hormones and emotions.
So our mission today is pretty aggressive. We're going to try and dismantle what you could call the productivity porn industry. We want to get away from performing self-improvement and move toward, well, actual growth.
Right, because checking a box and actually changing your life are two very, very different things. And understanding that difference is, I think, the key to getting to sleep before 2:28 a.m.
Okay, so let's unpack the first layer here. The source starts with a pretty tough truth about human nature. It challenges this basic assumption that we even want to change. We say we want to be better. We say we want the six-pack, the promotion, the finished novel.
But what we actually love is comfort.
The path of least resistance.
It's the path of least resistance. And this is biological. It's not just being lazy. We are hardwired to conserve energy. The source notes that while we all crave the results of a routine good grades, a fat paycheck, we are deeply, almost chemically attached to the comfort of our current patterns.
Can you give us an example of how that really plays out? Because I think we all like to fool ourselves into thinking we're hustlers.
Sure. Think of a university student. They want the 4.0 GPA, right? They want the academic validation, their parents' approval. But they also want the late-night coffees and the concerts and the social life.
They want the result without the process.
They want the result of the hard work, but the lifestyle of leisure. Or, take a professional who says they want to start a business. They get used to that set paycheck, the routine hours. By the end of the day, even if they hate the job, the energy just isn't there to build something new.
Because the known is comfortable.
The misery you know is safer than the success you don't.
I love this metaphor the source used about the attic. I think this just nails it. We all have these hobbies, writing, gaming, crafting, maybe learning guitar, that we say are part of our identity. But they get boxed up and shoved in the mental attic.
And why do they stay there?
Because climbing the stairs takes effort.
Yeah.
So we're too comfortable in that pattern of work, eat, scroll, sleep to go up there and unpack them. We tell ourselves, I'm a writer, but we haven't written in 6 months because the couch is just easier.
It's easier to say you're a writer than it is to face the blank page. And breaking that pattern is uncomfortable. It takes this huge surge of activation energy. The source argues where there's total comfort, there's just no room for improvement.
They're mutually exclusive.
You can't have both at the same time. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you're one of the few who actually decides to break the pattern. You reject comfort. You say, I'm going to change my life. What's the first thing you do?
You Google it, how to be productive, how to be a stoic. You look for the manual. You assume someone else has the answer for you.
And that's the second trap, the generic advice fallacy.
Oh, I loved the analogy for this. The source says that trying to force generic advice on yourself is like trying to teach a monkey to fly or a bird to bark.
It's a funny image, but it points to a very serious biological and psychological reality. We aren't standardized units. The analysis here is that those 5 ways to be productive articles, They usually work for one person.
The person who wrote them.
The person who wrote them. It's survivor bias, essentially. The author is sharing their specific solution for their specific brain chemistry, their lifestyle. Maybe they're a morning person who thrives on pressure. But when you, the reader who might have ADHD or be a night owl, try to overlay that template onto your life.
It fails. And then you don't blame the advice. You blame yourself. You think, I must be broken.
Exactly.
The source used the Pomodoro technique as a case study for this, which I thought was just perfect because everyone recommends Pomodoro.
The tomato timer?
Yeah, 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. It's the gold standard.
Right, and for the person mentioned in our source, the standard Pomodoro method was an absolute disaster. It didn't just not help, it actually hurt.
They hated it. They said every time they finally got into a flow state, which is hard enough to do, the timer would buzz and just pull them right out of it.
It was interrupting their productivity. It's like someone tapping you on the shoulder every 25 minutes saying, hey, stop working.
The cognitive cost of that is huge. You finally get the engine running, and an alarm forces you to shut it down.
But look at the adaptation. They didn't just throw the whole concept out. They customized it. They realized the rule shouldn't be break when the timer rings.
But break when blocked.
Yes. So they shifted to these deep work sessions, maybe 1 or 2 hours. They only stopped when they hit that mental wall, that moment you just start staring blankly at the screen.
Which is a massive shift. It turns the advice from a rigid rule book into just a starting point for self-discovery.
It's like use the tool, don't let the tool use you.
Right.
Advice should be a buffet, not a prefix menu. You take what nourishes you, you leave the rest. And this gets us to the deeper psychological issue the source identifies. It's the difference between performing your life and actually living it.
This part really hit home for me. It's the danger of doing things just because the list said so. The source asks these really sharp questions like, are you reading that book because you're genuinely curious, or are you just trying to tick a box that says, read 10 pages?
It's a question of intent. Are you ignoring your friends because you really need solitude to recharge, or because some YouTube guru told you that you need to be stoic and detached to be successful?
It's the hollowness of it all, of performative growth. The source uses this brilliant analogy. Trying to improve your life by blindly following these rules is like trying to learn French by binge-watching Netflix.
I love that. It's perfect. You might hear the sounds, you might recognize the setting, you might pick up a word like bonjour or baguette.
But you're not speaking the language?
No, you're not internalizing the grammar or the structure. You're just mimicking the output without understanding any of the input. You become a spectator in your own life.
That is a terrifying thought, a spectator in your own life. So how do we switch? How do we go from watching Netflix to actually speaking the language of self-improvement?
We have to look at the philosophy behind the action. The source quotes the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do.
First say to yourself what you would be. That sounds simple, but it's kind of backward from how we usually do things, isn't it? We usually start with the do. We start with the list.
Correct. We focus on the tasks, and we hope they'll retroactively shape us into the person we want to be. We think, if I run every day, I will eventually become a runner. Epictetus is saying, start with the identity.
I'm an athlete, therefore I run.
Exactly. The actual flows from the identity, not the other way around. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything.
The source really challenges us to redefine what better even means for you. It's so subjective. Is better being a digital nomad? Is it being a Stoic philosopher in a library?
And if your goal doesn't align with your own personal North Star, the strategy is never going to work. You're just acting like a robot with a schedule. And robots don't feel fulfillment, they just execute code.
And that's the key, isn't it? Fulfillment. If you're doing all this work and you still feel empty at 2:28 a.m., the alignment is just, it's off.
The pursuit has to be driven by something internal. If you're just following what your parents or society or some influencer tells you to do, you will burn out. It's inevitable.
Speaking of burning out, let's talk about the timeline. We're impatient creatures. We want a new life, and we want it by Tuesday.
Yes. The 18 days reality check. This is a critical piece of data from the source. Scientifically, it takes the mind at least 18 days to even begin forming a habit. And honestly, for complex behaviors, it's often much longer.
Months, sometimes.
And 18 days is the absolute floor. Yet we punish ourselves if we don't overhaul our entire life in 48 hours. We go to the gym once and then check the mirror for abs.
It's a massive expectation gap. We treat ourselves like algorithms that should just execute new code immediately. Delete lazymorning.exe, install 5amclub.exe. but we're biological. Our neural pathways resist change.
And the source argues that you can't treat yourself like software that needs to earn appreciation through efficiency.
I like the advice here about balancing growth with acceptance, this idea that life is a delicate dance. You have to try to be better, of course, but you also have to accept where you are right now.
It's the paradox of change, isn't it? You can't truly change something until you accept that it exists. The action item was so gentle. Just pat yourself on the back, even if all you did was get out of bed.
If you achieve something, that's great. If you didn't conquer the world, that's okay too.
That line really stood out to me. You cannot hate yourself into a better version of yourself.
It's the fundamental truth. Self-hatred is a terrible fuel source. It burns hot, but it burns out the engine. It's dirty energy.
So if we toss out the rigid lists and the self-hatred, what are we left with? The source provides 5 pillars of sustainable growth. These are practical, but they're also mindset shifts.
Okay, let's run through them. The first one is set intentions, not goals.
And this distinction is vital. People mix them up all the time. A goal is a rigid outcome. I will lose 10 pounds. I will read 50 books. It's binary. You either hit it or you fail.
And if you miss it by 1 pound or 1 book, you feel like a total failure, even if you lost 9 pounds.
Exactly. It completely disregards progress. An intention, on the other hand, is about how you show up. It's a value. I intend to be healthy. I intend to be curious. You can succeed at an intention 1,000 different ways every single day.
So if you take the stairs instead of the elevator, you've honored your intention.
You've honored your intention. Goals are finish lines. Intentions are a compass. They guide you indefinitely. You don't finish being healthy. You just keep going.
Okay, pillar number 2. Practice self-compassion, not just self-forgiveness. Now, wait a second. I thought these were the same thing. What's the difference?
This is a really nuanced point the source makes, and it's so important. They argue that forgiveness, if you're not careful, can become a sheet day loop. Think of a friend who treats you badly, says sorry, and then does the exact same thing next week.
Yeah, that's not a friend I'm keeping around. It's toxic.
Right. So if you keep forgiving yourself for skipping the gym, but you never change the behavior, you're actually being toxic to yourself. I procrastinated, but I forgive myself. Eventually, you stop trusting your own word. Forgiveness without change is just enabling.
Wow. So forgiveness can be an enabler. I never thought of it that way.
It can be. Compassion, on the other hand, is acknowledging you fell short, being kind about it, but maintaining the mental strength to say, okay, but we need to do better next time. It's not letting yourself off the hook. It's supporting yourself to get back on the hook.
That makes so much sense. Compassion is like a good coach who says, shake it off, get back in the game, fix your form. Forgiveness can be more like a lenient friend saying, it doesn't matter, let's go get ice cream.
That's a perfect analogy. Compassion wants you to win. Forgiveness just wants you to stop feeling bad.
Pillar number 3, cultivate curiosity.
This one addresses the smartest person in the room fallacy. The source is very clear. The moment you think you know everything, the moment you think your routine is perfected, you've lost. Growth requires admitting what you don't know.
The action here is simple. Read, listen, watch, stay open. It connects back to that monkey flying analogy. If you stop being curious, you'll never find the method that actually works for you.
Precisely. And that links really well to pillar number 4. Celebrate your quirks.
This one's fun. Embrace the weirdness.
Yeah. We often try to iron out our eccentricities to fit that standardized model we talked about. We think, oh, I work best at midnight, but successful people wake up at 5 a.m., so I must be broken.
But the source says your quirks are what make you, you. Maybe your best work is at midnight. Maybe you do need to pace around the room to think.
And there's a tactical tip here I really liked. Keep a record.
A record of things you're proud of.
Yes. When you're in that 2.28 a.m. slump, when you feel like you haven't done enough, you go back to this record. It proves to you that you're capable. It's evidence against your own self-doubt.
It's like building a case file for your own success to show to the jury in your head. When your internal prosecutor says you're lazy, you pull out the file and say, objection, look what I did last month.
Exactly. And finally, pillar number 5, this is the big one, connect with your why.
The why. It sounds a little cliche, but why is it a pillar?
Because it's the North Star. It's the most important driver. If you don't know why you're suffering through the discipline won't last. Willpower is a battery. It runs out. Purpose is an engine. It generates its own power.
The source shared a personal hack for this, which I love, the Post-it note. They write their why on a Post-it note and stick it right on their desk. It's the first thing they see.
It fires them up, it cuts through all the noise of the what and the how, the lists, the calendars, and reconnects them immediately with the purpose. I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this to create art. Whatever it is, it needs to be visible. Because when you're tired, you forget.
So pulling all this together, we started at 2:28 a.m. feeling guilty. We realized the comfort trap keeps us stuck, but then the generic advice trap just makes us feel inadequate when we try to break free.
We learned that we're not algorithms. We can't just download Morning Routine 2.0 and expect it to run bug-free on our specific hardware. It takes time, at least 18 days, and it requires a shift from external validation to internal intention.
It's about moving from performing self-improvement to actually living it,
Yeah.
and realizing that the obstacles, the failed Pomodoros, the lazy days, the weird quirks, they are part of the path. They are not a sign that you're broken.
You cannot hate yourself into a better version of yourself. That is the fundamental truth. Growth requires a foundation of acceptance. You have to start where you are, not where you think you should be.
It brings us right back to that Epictetus quote. First, say to yourself what you would be. And I want to leave everyone with a thought experiment based on that. If you took your to-do list, your productivity apps, your goals, and your calendars, and you threw them all in the trash today, would you still know who you're trying to become?
That's the question. And if the answer is no, it might be time to stop doing for a second and start being.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.